Hello, welcome to Lesson 3 of the Society Inside Trust Toolkit. My name's Hilary Sutcliffe, and today we're going to look at the 7 Signals of Trustworthiness. What we'll cover in this lesson is what are the 7 Signals of Trustworthiness, where they come from, why they matter to trust, and how they work in practice. And what you will do is explore them individually, consider their effect on trust, and consider their effectiveness as a guide for earning trust and avoiding distrust in your own work. So, why are these things so special? So, trust is one of the most researched areas of academia. It took me about 9 months of reading for this project to realise that no, I wasn't actually going mad, but the various disciplines contradicted each other. Everyone is fighting for their own idea of what trust is and isn't and dismissing the rest. But what I also seen emerge was a really remarkable agreement from evolutionary psychology to sociology, behavioural science to political science about one thing: the actions and behaviours which signalled you were trustworthy or not. These 7 signals you see here are incredibly familiar. Perhaps their very familiarity may mean we underestimate their power. But they are fundamentally linked to how our societies have evolved and what makes them work. So, let's go through them briefly, one by one. First is intent. This works for individuals, corporations, regulators, governments. That your intent is not totally selfish is important for trust. You also have my good interest in mind. But where intent can lead to distrust, particularly in our area of technology and companies, is because the biggest cause of distrust is the belief, and perhaps the reality, that making money is being prioritised over people and planet. I only matter to you as far as you can make money out of me. My needs or views don't intrinsically count in the development of your products and services, and I can see this in your actions. So number 2, competence. The OECD's Trust and Public Policy Report tells us competence is a necessary condition for trust. An actor, whether a business or a government agency with good intentions, but without the ability to deliver on expectation, cannot be trusted. And competence really looks like delivering on expectation, doing what you say you will do, but also there are qualities to it that help for trust. You are effective, consistent, reliable, and responsive. And where incompetence leads to distrust, well, incompetence can take many forms. Products that don't work, inconsistency in service, failure to respond properly when problems arise, just keeping up with changing expectations. We can see that with COVID, where organisations have had to transform themselves almost overnight. But also even before that, the role of new technologies, transforming expectations of business and government has caught a lot of companies on the hop. Number 3, respect. I didn't really see respect as that important before I did this work. For me, it was all about your parents saying, respect your elders and betters, and I never really saw what they'd done to be respected, so I never really took that on board. But being respectful is incredibly important to trustworthiness and to trust. Feeling disrespected is incredibly powerful in shaping how we feel about people and organisations. Organisations who respect us see others as equal, listen to and take seriously their concerns, their views and rights, and consider the impact of their work, their interactions, the tone, the words and the actions on others. And where disrespect can lead to distrust, others feeling disrespected when their values, needs, concerns or perspectives are ignored and dismissed and silenced. We see this in a lot of areas, from social justice to the design of citizen policy dialogues. Even if people don't agree with the eventual decision or outcome, if they feel disrespected or they feel respected, This is fundamental to their acceptance and in turn respecting of the outcome or the decision. Next, number 4 is integrity. So a reputation for honesty and integrity is important in all walks of life, showing that you're honest, principled, ethical, and operating without corruption, and that you welcome being held accountable for your actions are so important if you are wanting to be trusted. Where lack of integrity can lead to distrust is interesting. Trust is lost and problems arise, very often not from a problem occurring, but from the cover-up and the contorted and yet often quite obvious to everybody else attempts to divert attention or rationalize it as something else. Mistakes will happen and people understand this, but organizations which take responsibility for the problems they cause and respond quickly to put things right can actually increase people's trust. Number 5, inclusion. Inclusion is important to trust because not only will involving others give you a window into potential opportunities or problems down the line, but diverse perspectives really do result in better decisions. Giving people agency over the things that matter to their lives is incredibly important to trust. And where lack of inclusion can lead to distrust, well, the greatest concerns about new technologies and the companies that are working with them are the ethical, moral, and social environmental aspects of products in use. So inclusion of these perspectives early can help understand and address the concerns and respond effectively if the unexpected problems arise. Number 6, openness and transparency. We hear a lot about that. It is really important. Trusted organizations are open. They're transparent, they're responsive, they're accessible in process, communications, explanations, and interactions. And lack of openness, we see that a lot too. Organizations who don't open up about how they deliver on their values, who don't communicate in accessible language, and don't provide clear explanations when things don't go right. Beyond expression of values and principles, evidence of openness in practice is important. And number 7, fairness. Perceived unfairness is one of the most powerful drivers of trust and distrust. Even when we're really little, it's unfair. We feel it as tiny children and calibrate fairness and unfairness with incredible precision. But fairness is a very influential driver of trust. It's enshrined in justice and equality in the development, in the governance, in the processes, applications, incentives, and outcomes. And fairness is an intangible but important component of organizational development. Unfairness and inequality designed into systems, organizations, products, services, processes, incentives, outcomes. You see fairness and unfairness as really important, centrally to the design of organizations. And fairness provides a vital lens to reflect on positive and negative impacts of trust and distrust. And here's the last one. It's not actually a signal of trustworthiness, but it's the perhaps most important of all is showing that you are trustworthy and showing that you're delivering on your promises as important as the promises themselves. Without evidence of your trustworthiness, how will anyone ever know that you are? And where does lack of evidence of trustworthiness lead to distrust? Let's call it trust washing. This is a focus on talk about trust. Scratch the surface and there's nothing beneath. Trustworthy organizations focus their communications on providing evidence they are walking their talk, providing evidence of trustworthiness.